Hi everybody, in this LYNX Whiteboard training video we're going to look at the maths tools. These are interactive tools and we access them from the insert button here and we select content from the menu that pops up. That's because we'll find it in the offline content that you can access at any point when you're using LYNX, and they are in the maths folder here. So when we go in here we can see all of the interactive maths tools. There are also some backgrounds that you can drag on and they'll go into the background layer, and some counters that you can use as well. But the interactive tools are the reason why we're here. So they include clocks, as you can see a clock here. If I just bring that forward so it's a bit larger, you can see that it's fully interactive, so I can mess around with any of the hands on the screen. I can just get the clock to play. As you can see here, it's doing a count backwards. So if we go into the settings, we can see that it's being used as a kind of a timer and it's counting down. But we can get it to count up, or we can switch it so that it's a stopwatch, or we can say actually we just want it to be a clock, and it will automatically jump to the current time unless we decide to mess around with it. We can also hide hands on the clock as well. So often when I'm teaching children how to tell the time, I like to start off with just the hour hand, because we can use the hour hand as a good indicator of which hour we're going towards and so on, and bring in the minutes later on. So that's the clock. Notice the tools for messing around with it are all accessible on the floating toolbar. Likewise, we have here the dice for probability and playing games. We can add dice and we can take dice away, and then we roll the dice by pressing on the blue button there. We also have an interactive calendar so that we can go through into the future or back way into the past as well. So a nice interactive calendar there too. We also have two compasses. So if we pull this one out with the pencil, we can actually toggle it to turn into the one with the pen just by pressing on the lid there, or the eraser of the pencil. And we can mess around with the width that it's going to do on the screen by playing with that red node there. And then to draw a circle, we just go to the tip of the pencil or pen and go around like that. Now, if I was to switch it to the other type, what would happen is that instead of doing us just a line, it actually starts to give us angled sectors of a circle, as you can see there. Digital clocks as well, an angle maker, and of course the various tools that you'd expect so that we can measure angles and lines. So the first of all, we have the protractor. This can be moved around on a touch screen very easily, and when we want to measure an angle we can just position it carefully where it needs to be, rotate it using the joystick there, and then we can use these nodes here to help us actually measure the angles. So if I drag that out to make sure it's touching the line, I can actually stamp that angle onto the screen as well. You can see that it went behind my triangle that I was measuring, and then we can slide that back into there. And then with the rulers, again we can drag this out, and what's quite nice on the touch screen is that you can stretch it out one way or the other. If you're not using a touch screen, you can just use this node here to make it as long as you need, and then we can put it into place so that we can measure this line here. It can be fiddly on the touch screen, or we can make it easier for ourselves if we're using our mouse. And then we have these nodes here that we can position into place, and again we can stamp the line on that we're measuring. So you can see there we've stamped that line on, measuring the length. So a range of maths tools, have a play around with them, see how helpful you find them. Thanks for watching.